Did you know that one letter can stop debt collectors from calling you, prevent them from potentially suing you, and even get your debt dismissed completely? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what a debt validation letter is, why it's so powerful, and how to use it to stop debt collectors in their tracks and potentially get out of debt without paying a dime. Hi, I'm Mike Ziegler, a debt defense and bankruptcy attorney here in Florida. Over the past 15 years, I've helped over 4,000 people deal with debt collectors, and I've seen firsthand how powerful a properly written debt validation letter can be. If you're dealing with aggressive debt collectors or lawsuits, call us at 727-538-4188. Now, let me show you why this one letter can change everything. When it comes to debt collection, there are actually two types of letters involved. The first is the letter that the debt collector sends to you, which is called a verification letter. The second is the letter you send to them, which is called a validation letter or dispute letter. And the second letter is the one that gives you the power. A debt validation letter is a formal written dispute where you demand that the debt collector prove that you actually owe the debt. It's your legal right under federal law, and when you use it correctly, it's incredibly powerful. Here's why debt collectors hate these letters. Once you send a debt validation letter, they must stop all collection activity. That means no more phone calls, no more threatening letters in the mail. They can't sue you. Everything stops until they provide you with proof that the debt is valid and that they have the legal right to collect it. And here's the thing, a lot of debt collectors can't actually provide that proof. They buy these debts in bulk for pennies on the dollar, and many times they don't have the documentation they need. So when you force them to verify the debt, they often just walk away because they can't prove it. This is all governed under a federal law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. This law sets strict rules for how debt collectors can operate, and it gives you specific rights, including the right to dispute a debt and demand verification. But before you can send your validation letter, you need to understand what the debt collector is legally required to send you first. The verification letter collectors must send you under the FDCPA within 5 days of their first contact with you. A debt collector must send a written verification letter. And this could be their first contact, or if they call you first, they have 5 days from that phone call to get this letter in the mail. This verification letter must contain 5 specific pieces of information. First, it has to clearly state the exact amount they claim you owe. Second, it has to name the original creditor. Third, it must include a statement that you have 30 days from the date you received the letter to dispute the debt. Fourth, it must state that if you do dispute the debt in writing, they're required to provide verification. And fifth, they must provide information about how you can get the name and address of the original creditor if it's different from the debt collector. This is important because most old debts get sold multiple times. The original credit card might have been with Capital One, but by the time you're getting collection calls, it could have been sold to a junk debt buyer like Midland Funding or Portfolio Recovery, and you have the right to know who originally held the debt and who's trying to collect it now. Now, here's the critical part. This verification letter starts a 30-day clock. From the date on that letter, you have 30 days to send your own dispute letter back to them. If you don't send in 30 days, they're not legally required to verify the debt. But here's another problem. A lot of debt collectors don't send this verification letter properly, or they don't send it at all. If they contact you and fail to send this required letter within 5 days, they're already violating federal law. That violation can give you leverage, and in some cases, you can sue them for damages. So once you've received that verification letter, the clock is ticking. Here's exactly what you need to do. Your debt validation letter must be sent within 30 days of the date of their verification letter. This deadline is absolutely critical. If you miss it, the debt collector is not required to verify the debt, and you lose this protection. My advice is to count from the date printed on their letter, not from the date you actually received it in the mail, and this way you're being extra safe. As soon as you get their verification letter, you should immediately prepare your validation letter and get it in the mail. It must be in writing. Phone calls don't count under the FDCPA. Can't call them and dispute the debt verbally. It has to be a written letter. So I strongly recommend sending it by certified mail with a return receipt, and that way you have proof that you sent it and they received received it. So what should your validation letter include? It needs to clearly state that you are disputing the debt. You should demand verification of the debt and proof that they have the legal right to collect it. You should request information about the original creditor, copies of the original credit card agreement or loan documents, and account statements showing how they calculate the amount they claim you owe. You should also reference your rights under the FDCPA. Now here's where this gets really powerful. Once you mail that validation letter, all collection activity must stop immediately. They cannot call you and they can't send you any more letters. They cannot file a lawsuit against you. Everything freezes until they provide proper verification of the debt. This is huge. If you're being harassed with constant phone calls, this one letter stops all of it. And if you're worried about being sued, this buys you time and protection. If they can't verify the debt, they have to stop collection permanently. They can't just ignore your letter and keep coming after you. So why is it that so many debt collectors can't verify the debt? Let me show you how the debt buying industry actually works. Here's how it works. When you fall behind on a credit card, the original creditor will try to collect from you for a while, but after what's usually around 180 days of non-payment, they charge off the debt, and at that point they often sell it to a junk debt buyer. These junk debt buyers purchase debts in massive bulk portfolios. They might buy tens of thousands of accounts at once for 3 to 5 cents on the dollar. So a $5,000 debt might cost them $150 to $200. But here's the problem: when they buy these debts, they're not actually getting filing cabinets full of paperwork. They're not getting original credit card agreements. They're not getting monthly account statements. What they get is a spreadsheet, usually with data files with names, address, identifying information, balances owed. They must take those spreadsheets, load them into their system, and start sending out collection letters and phone calls, but they don't actually have the documentation to prove the debt's valid. So when you send a debt validation letter demanding proof, they run into problems because they can't prove the exact amount you owe, they can't prove the debt was legally assigned to them with proper documentation, and they don't have the original credit card agreements. They really can't prove that you are the actual person who owes the debt. In many cases, the statute of limitations could have expired, meaning the debt's too old to sue on. So when they can't provide this verification, federal law says they must stop all collection activity, and they can't just pause it for a few weeks and start calling you again. If they can't verify it, they're done. And here's what often happens. They realize it's going to cost them more time and money to track down documentation the debt is worth, so they just move on to easier targets, people who don't dispute and people who don't know their rights. So let me give you an example of how that might play out in real life. Let's say you're being contacted by a junk debt buyer like Portfolio Recovery for $5,000. They claim that you owe this on an old credit card. You send a debt verification letter within 30 days and collection activity stops. Weeks go by, you never send verification because they don't have the original credit card agreement. They can't prove the amount is accurate, and they can't prove that the debt was properly assigned to them, so they just move on to easier targets. You never hear from them again. But to make this strategy work, you have to avoid some critical mistakes that can ruin everything. So the first mistake is missing the 30-day deadline. If you wait too long and send your validation letter, the debt collector is not going to be required to respond. The law only protects you if you dispute within that 30-day window. So as soon as you receive their verification letter, send your dispute immediately. Don't wait, use certified mail so you can prove when you sent it. Second mistake is to try to dispute the debt over the phone instead of in writing. Phone disputes don't count under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It must be a formal written letter. And make sure that you keep copies of everything: your validation letter, the certified mail receipt, their verification letter, and any response they sent. Documentation is critical. The third mistake is to make a partial payment. If you pay anything, even a small amount, you're acknowledging that you owe the debt, and this can restart the statute of limitations on old debts and completely undermine your dispute. So don't pay anything until you receive proper verification and you've decided how you want to handle that debt. The fourth mistake is continuing to engage with debt collector after you send your validation letter. Once that letter is in the mail, stop talking to them, don't answer their calls, don't respond to their letters, they're legally required to provide verification before they continue collection activity. There's no reason for you to communicate with them until they've done what the law requires. And the fifth mistake is to not keep proper records. Keep a copy of the validation letter, keep the certified mail receipt, keep their verification letter and any documentation they send back. If they violate the law by continuing to contact you or by suing you without providing verification, you'll need this evidence. Now let me show you another powerful outcome that can happen when debt collectors violate these rules. Here's another outcome that happens. Let's say you send a verification letter to a debt collector claiming that you owe $3,000. Instead of stopping collection activity like they're required to, they keep calling you and send you another collection letter. They've now violated federal law. You can sue them under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. In many cases, they'll forgive the entire debt and pay you up to $1,000 in statutory damages just to settle the violation. You turn the tables completely. So when should you use a debt validation letter? And what happens if the debt collector actually does provide verification? The best time to use a debt validation letter is immediately after you receive the verification letter from the debt collector. Don't wait to see what happens. Don't wait to see if they'll work with you. Send the validation letter right away to preserve your rights. This strategy is especially powerful in certain situations. If you're dealing with an old debt that's close to or past the statute of limitations, the validation letter forces them to show you the dates and documentation. If a junk debt buyer purchased your debt and you don't recognize the company that's contacting you, a validation letter makes them prove they actually own it. If the amount they're claiming seems wrong or inflated, the validation letter forces them to show you how they calculated it. If you're not even sure the debt is yours, the validation letter requires them to prove it. And if debt collectors are harassing you with constant phone calls, the validation letter stops all contact immediately. Here's what this strategy buys you. It buys you time to assess your options and figure out the best way to handle the situation. It gives you silence from collectors while they attempt to verify the debt. It creates the potential for the debt to be dismissed entirely if they can't verify it. It gives you leverage for settlement negotiations if they do manage to verify it. And it protects you from lawsuits during a verification period. But here's an important question. What happens if the debt collector actually does provide verification? If the debt collector sends you proper verification, they can resume collection activity. This means they can start calling you again. They can send you letters, and they can file a lawsuit if they choose to. But here's the key. Now you have all their documentation. You can review exactly what they're claiming and look for weaknesses in their case. When you receive their verification, look carefully at what they sent. Do they have the original credit card agreement with your signature on it? Do they have a complete chain of assignments showing how the debt was transferred from the original creditor to them? Do they have account statements showing the charges you made and payments you sent? And do they have a clear calculation showing how they arrived at the amount they claim you owe? If verification is incomplete or questionable, you can dispute again with more specific questions. Point out exactly what's missing. Challenge any inconsistencies in the paperwork they provide. Make them work for it. At that point, you have several options. You can negotiate a settlement. The fact that they had to go through this process gives you leverage. You can explore bankruptcy if you qualify and if that makes sense for your overall financial situation. If they do file a lawsuit, you can defend it, but now you have all their documentation ahead of time so you know what you're dealing with. Or you can continue to dispute their verification if it's weak or doesn't actually prove what they claim. The important thing is that by sending that validation letter, you took control of the situation instead of just reacting to their demands. So if you're being harassed by debt collectors and you want to use a validation letter to stop them in their tracks, call us at 727-538-4188 for a free consultation. Review your situation and make sure that you understand your rights under federal law. And if you're being sued specifically by major credit card companies like American Express, Bank of America, or Capital One, watch this video next. I'm going to show you the specific strategies that work best against these particular creditors and how their credit card agreements can actually work in your favor.